Hi, my name's Emma and I run The Dating Mermaid. You can find more of my stuff, such as blogs and products, at thedatingmermaid.com. Now in this video, I wanted to talk about the signs of a commitment phobe so that you're aware of their behaviour so you can try to avoid them when you're in the dating world. So first of all, let's look at the definition of a commitment phobe. So a commitment phobe is somebody who has an irrational fear of commitment. Because someone with a phobia has an irrational fear, a commitment phobe just happens to have an irrational fear of commitment and relationships. So as a result, they avoid having close relationships. They will still want relationships, but just not close ones. So now I want to move on and look at the cause of a commitment phobe's behaviour. Now I've created this diagram to help me to explain it. You'll see here there's a man in the middle and he is standing in the zone of discomfort too close. Outside of that, there's the ideal zone, and outside of that, there's a zone of discomfort too far. Now, man behaves differently based on where the woman is in relation to these three zones. For example, if she moves into the zone of discomfort too close, he feels uncomfortable because she is too close to him and he's a commitment phobe. So he unconsciously behaves in certain ways to push her out of the zone of discomfort too close into, preferably, the ideal zone. Now, the ideal zone is where he wants a woman to be. So she's not too close, but she's also not too far away. However, some women, when they're pushed out of the zone of discomfort too close into the ideal zone, she doesn't like it. She feels pushed away, she feels unwanted, she feels rejected, and she's not getting the closeness that she wanted. So some women will say, do you know what, you're not for me, and end the relationship. She then moves into zone of discomfort too far for that man. She's now moved too far away from him and he doesn't like it because he does want to have a relationship with her. He just wants to have a relationship with her in the ideal zone. Now, depending on where that woman is will affect how that man behaves. So now I want to move on to look at how a man will behave dependent on where a woman is with regards to these different zones. So, the zone of discomfort behaviour, we've got too close and too far. So if a woman enters into the zone of discomfort too close, this is how a commitment phobe may behave. He may flirt with other women, he may say that he doesn't want a relationship, he may leave for a few days without telling her where he's going, he might start an argument, or he might be moody, or any other of these types of pushing away behaviours. He's basically self-sabotaging. He's trying to push her away from being too close into the ideal zone. Now, how does he behave if this same woman then says, do you know what, you're not for me and I'm going to move away from you, I'm going to end the relationship. So if she moves into the zone of discomfort too far, this is how he might behave. He might start making an effort with her. He might then say he wants a relationship, even though previously he says he doesn't. He might start giving her attention. He might start calling her. He might act like the ideal boyfriend. He may even beg. So you can see here that the same man can behave completely differently dependent on where the woman is in relation to these two zones of discomfort. So you can see here that his behaviour is contradictory and he's essentially sending mixed signals. So now what I want to do is look at the three signs that you are dealing with a commitment phobe. Sign number one, a commitment phobe normally has a history of non-commitment in relationships. So it's highly unlikely he's been married. He might even say, I never want to get married. He might have had relationships with women in the past, but they tend to be fleeting. And if you listen to him when he's talking about previous relationships or relationships generally, he tends to use negative statements. And that is because the cause of commitment phobia is a belief that relationships equal pain or close relationships equal pain. That's the real cause of it. So sign number two. As I mentioned a minute ago, they constantly send mixed messages. So 1 minute, they'll be kind of hot, they'll really be interested. That is to bring the woman closer to him. However, if she becomes too close, i.e. in the zone of discomfort too close, he then starts behaving in ways that will push her away. So the woman in question will constantly feel like she's a yo-yo, a human yo-yo. She's just pushed and pulled, depending on how comfortable he feels. But essentially, he wants her to stay in the ideal zone. But unfortunately for him, many women don't want to be in the ideal zone. They want to have more closeness than he does. And please be aware at this point, it's not just men that can be commitment phobes. Women can also be commitment phobes. Let's look at sign number three, the final one. Sometimes commitment phobes will rationalise their behaviour in irrational ways. So sometimes they will say to you, the reason why I behave like this is because, and what comes out of their mouth after that is kind of unusual talk, and it doesn't really make any sense. And that is because they are behaving in irrational ways. There are no rationalisations for irrational behaviour. Now, sometimes a commitment phobe will then start accusing you of being irrational. So if you're confronting them and saying you're behaving like this is unusual behaviour, it's inappropriate behaviour, they will start telling you that you are crazy because you have unrealistic expectations and you are the problem. So this final sign is where you're having a normal adult conversation with somebody, kind of talking to them about their behaviour, and they are justifying their behaviour in very unusual ways. And as I said, that's because their behaviour is unusual and there's no real logical rationalisation for it. Or alternatively, they will start gaslighting you, which is basically where somebody gets you to question your sanity and to question your statements because they don't want to take responsibility for their own behaviour. Anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. I hope it's helped you. I hope you can use this to avoid meeting or dating any commitment phobes in the future, because their behaviour is pretty painful when you're constantly pushed away and then you're pulled close, pushed away and pulled close. So hopefully you will avoid those in the future. Anyway, let me know what you think about this video. I'd be really interested to hear that. Leave your comments in the box below. If you're interested in reading some of my blogs, then pop over to my website, thedatingmermaid.com. And if you're interested in checking out my dating, relationship or breakup recovery toolkits, then pop over to my Etsy store at www.thedatingmermaid.etsy.com. Thanks for listening. Bye now.